What's popular YouTube? Another day, another demo, and it's good to be back. I feel like I haven't recorded a video in so long. We had the Doja video go up as well as the Tizian video recently, and I have basically not recorded a full-on demo review in 4 days. Today is going to be a Patreon demo. We got a second submission, and I'm so excited to be able to do a Patreon demo because the last one went over so well. I hope you'll go and watch that if you haven't. And basically, the last one was a higher level team-based demo where it was an IM team looking to close out the season strong and had some troubles on Inferno. So we went over some of the things that they could have gone ahead and done better and fixed. And this demo is going to be a Master Guardian 2 demo, one where it's going to be a bit more relatable for the lower ranks. And I'll go over some of the CSGO ranks in case you guys don't know those and aren't familiar with them as much, and talk about what the differences are at those ranks. And so we're going to do that in a second. Just wanted to say, appreciate all the kind words on this last vlog that I made. Again, I'm not burnt out in any means. Making these demos is the favorite part of my day, but I was just tired because of the amount of work I did and this weekend. And I think one thing I'm going to do is, change the expectations for myself to not to be, as opposed to just work 12 hours, a 12-hour broadcast and do a Coach Loud video at the end of the day, to just make sure I'm doing something productive today, putting content out there in the world, doing something that helps, further my goals in my career, and just make sure my work ethic is high, but not, kill myself with these kinds of videos and stuff like that. And yeah, so this weekend I did a 3-day boot camp, basically, of Valorant games. Casted almost 30 maps in 3 days. Had pretty long days, about 12-hour days. And it was the first time me and Connor have casted Valorant together. It is the first time Scrawny has casted any other game except for CSGO. So that was an interesting experience. I knew he was going to smash it because he's just an extremely talented play-by-play caster. But it was a new experience, and he was nervous about the idea of doing it. But at the same time, I knew he's just the kind of guy to get nervous, get over prepared, and then kill it. So I knew it was going to be good, and it was a very nice experience. It was really cool to do another game, one that is just, it's so bright and colorful, and it's brand new with the terms we use, and the strategy is all different, and some of the faces and people that we talk about are familiar, but some are not. And, this show matchy thing that we did, which was basically a charity tournament that was nation-based with different streamers in Europe. This was not the highest level Valorant, but this is something that, because Valorant is so new, everyone can get very excited about. In a lot of ways, Valorant feels like Counter-Strike in 2013, 2014, where everything they do can be interesting to watch, right? Can only imagine how refined things will get in the next few years with competitive Valorant, just like they did with CS, and how much, harder it is to get excited about things in CS that aren't the major at a LAN, the semifinal with top tier casting, with top tier gameplay. Like, our expectations have gotten so high now to get excited in CS that it was kind of fun and felt very fresh to cast some Valorant, and really enjoyed it. And now I'm totally in Valorant mode, where this next week I'm going to be doing the First Strike tournament, and I'm going to spend the week basically playing Valorant every single day, and studying Valorant every single night, and thinking about and talking about casting with Scrawny. And so glad that we did these kind of 30 maps on the weekend, even though it was exhausting, because I think we got really good, and I think it was very fun, and I think I'm just excited to even show what we can do and do more. So yeah, took the full day off, basically took a nap at 2 p.m., 2 to 4, had a coffee and a Red Bull, now just flipped on OBS. I actually recorded this video, 27 minutes of this video, and then realized that I didn't have enough space left on my PC to record. And instead of splicing the two videos together, I decided to do it all over again. Intro, half a demo, we're doing it all over again. No sweat. Let's take a look at the ranks of CS:GO and try to get some context on what is the difference between different levels of CS:GO. But we are back to it. I will be doing these demo reviews again every single day. And I've got to switch between Valorant mode, where I mentally go all in on Valorant, playing, thinking about it, everything like that, to doing the Blast Showdown in a couple of weeks, where it's back to CS and doing some CS:GO content and different stuff in the next week or so. I'm going to be on a couple of podcasts coming up, and yeah, so staying involved and in the know with all the content, all the news, and again, shout out to everybody who dropped me a DM. I still haven't responded to everything. Apologize. Things just never slowed down. This week will be the week I do it. So if you have shot me a message, don't worry. I will get back to you. But shout out to everybody who's been making CSGO content. Appreciate y'all. And yeah, so this time it's going to be an MG2 demo review. Okay. So this is a review submitted by Dismay. And as we can see by how the ranks are divided, it would seem like MG2 is in the upper echelon of CSGO gameplay. Dismay's goal is to get to Legendary Eagle Master by the end of the year. He sent me this demo a week or so ago. This doesn't look ambitious in the context of him being over 2/3 of the way through the ranks, but the level of gameplay kind of increases in a different way as you go up. I wouldn't say that it increases exponentially, but the thing about CS, and the reason I love CS, is because it's not a complicated game. There isn't a lot of things to learn. It's more of a game about mastery. And the higher you go, the more it becomes about small advantages, knowing where you can find those advantages, mastering your mechanics, having the best spray, having the best aim, having the best positioning, which can be something that is a total enigma to most, and uncovering why your level of gameplay isn't there. That's kind of what this is, right? Kind of small advantages that are difficult to attain to achieve the coveted global elite ranking. But in this rank, in this rank group in silver, which is 1/3 of the ranks, I mean, CS isn't even really CS at this point. Vu has made some videos called Elo Hell Doesn't Exist. And I love his arguments. I think they make a lot of sense. But in my perspective, like I've played placement games with silvers on a Smurf account, and like I think I had a match where I got 60 kills, and we lost the game, and it was like there was no way to be able to. There was just no way that, like maybe it's true that if you're in silver, the rank you're supposed to be maybe in gold, right? But I don't think it's true, and I don't think it's true that you should be, you're a global elite in a silver's body. But I do think you can lose a lot of your games at no fault of your own, to the point that can be very frustrating, and you can have a below 50% win rate and be stuck. And I do think that's what Elo Hell is, and I think that definitely exists. And the more you climb the ranks, and this is true in basically every competitive game, the easier it becomes to win when you're not playing well. So overachieving is almost a necessity at this rank because of the amount of randomness in these ranks. Whereas when you start to climb up into this third here, you can play worse and still win because your teammates can carry. You'll get carried more often, and there's going to be less demand for you to have consistently incredible aim, and more reliance on your knowledge to help you win rounds, which is pretty fun, and I think where the game gets very, very interesting. But yes, it's tough to explain what goes on here. People are they treat the game like a sandbox and don't think about the maps and the advantages those maps give you, and it can cause you to die in ways that it's just hard to read into. So luckily we got an MG2 demo, which the game is starting to look a lot more sane. And honestly, I was kind of impressed at the level of play at Dismay's rank here at MG2, where he clearly watches some pro CS. He says he watched the demos of his game. There was some good crosshair placement or thinking behind it. There was some good positioning. There was a lot of good stuff that I don't think I saw when I was MG2, back in the day. So I just want to go ahead and read his Patreon demo. Hey, my name is Dismay. I'm currently MG2, and I was wondering if you could review me individually. So I guess a focus on just individual gameplay as opposed to team and rotations. I have not played CSGO for 1 year, so I'm a bit rusty, or any FPS/video games for that matter. Okay. I used to have a tilting problem, but since I was AFK from video games, I started to read a lot of self-help, and I've been back at it, and it seems to have worked. That's awesome. Glad to hear that you've kind of attacked your problems and found some success in fixing them. I have a good party of friends, and we are winning many games together, but it feels like I'm not impacting my games. Okay, a very good problem, right to the point, something that I can talk about. My goal is to get to LEM before the end of the year, but I know if I keep playing like this, I'm going to get obliterated in those ranks. Fair enough. Realistic, but an ambitious goal. I like that. I've watched this demo about 3 times, and it feels like many rounds were lost because of me. Love it. Self-aware, ambitious. Oh, it's ticking all the boxes right now. Inferno is my favorite map, and Inferno A as a CT is my best site in any map. But I struggle a lot as T. If you have any messages, I'm down to reply. I'm Australian, so we have a weird time difference, but I'll reply ASAP. Okay, cool. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to maybe discuss tilting a little bit, which is a question he also asked about. And I am going to try to review his demo kind of individually. So a couple of things right off the bat. We'll use the pistol round in the first few rounds to talk about it because there isn't a lot going on in these ones. And hopefully CSGO will maximize. That would be fantastic. I think it might have crashed somehow while it was minimized. Okay, yeah, it did. So I'll just open it up again. So the first thing, let me boil down tilting. Why don't we do that while I open this up again? So I think the best way to solve tilting is to consider perspective. In the perspective of the event that happened that just ruined your day with the way someone talked to you or something they said or them deflecting criticism that was good criticism, how important is that thing, right? If you can line it up like, my goal is to win this game. I understand that if the mood isn't good on the team, we'll be less likely to work together, and then we'll eventually crumble and end up losing the game because of the attitude, because of our unwillingness to work together, because of the communication that will only get worse if I start a fight. So therefore, if my goal is to win the game, will that make me more willing to look past a little bit of a scuffle, a verbal scuffle over voice comms? And I think that's something that's so important to think about to help yourself feel better when it comes to tilting, because there's something about hearing somebody say something asinine or wrong or annoying that makes you want to clap back, defend yourself. Sometimes it's not even a person. Sometimes it's literally the way someone piqued you or something, or like criticizing their gameplay. That's actually kind of another issue that may be worth talking about. But when thinking about tilting, I think what's really important is understanding that we are beasts floating through space on a rock spinning into infinity, right? And that while there's a global economic crisis going on, and you've got school the next day and work after that and dishes when you get home and CS as your time off, and you're playing matchmaking and you're in a round in at a minute 30, and this guy F1 race car peeks you from the bottom of mid and deegs you, makes you regret opening the game in the first place, that ultimately it's such a small problem in the scope of your life, right? It is such a tiny thing to be concerned about, and it's unfortunate that it happened, but there's much more going on in the world, in your life, and in the grander scope of things that deserve more of your care than this one dude at the bottom of mid at a minute 30, wide swinging F1 race car peak and one tapping you on an eco round in your time off at the end of the day. Right? I think that can help you feel better about it. So figuring out what your priorities are. Do you want to win or do you want to win the argument? And then from that perspective, can you move forward? If you can't move forward, you want to fight, you want to win the argument, maybe that's what you want to do. But if you want to win the game, then maybe you can put that aside a little bit. I don't want to tell anybody how to feel, right? I think anger is something that some of us can manage better naturally. Our emotions don't run as high as others. And I don't want to say that it's all a choice. It's not all a choice. But I just do want to say that maybe a way to help yourself solve it. Shout out to the movement. Nice lineup. Nice try on the jump. Almost hit the jump. Good effort. Like to see the effort. Maybe that can help you with the tilting things. Putting things into perspective as soon as like you feel like you're about to snap at something. Because if your goal is to get to LEM, if that's truly your goal, maybe you can spare yourself an argument here or there if you can understand that getting into that argument will not help you achieve that goal. Because as much as it might feel good to wreck somebody as well, like say you have them dead to rights, you also will affect yourself too. Like, oh yeah, hold on. Let's talk about that. Mental snapshot of what just happened in that round. Let me go ahead and actually go back because this is an important thing that I've written down notes for this demo. I've already watched it. But there was nothing bad about this round up until the point that you sprayed. So let's go ahead and look at this again. Okay. So, hold on. Let me actually go back again because I want to go into lead-in. The tough part there was that as soon as you rotated in for the fight, here's a situation where you're in a pretty good spot, positionally speaking. You're about to catch them running into B, and we've got a player here, number 7. He's only got 28 health, right? So what we're going to see is dismay, number 1, shooting too soon, panicking, not being able to control his crosshair. Okay? So this is something that will happen continuously throughout this demo, and not something I want to continuously harp on, but something that should be noted. That I'm going to say this right now, a huge reason why you're losing a lot of your trades is because you're straight up shooting too soon, and your spray could be a lot better. Right here, I would just like to point out, if you ran on the left side of the wall here, even though your buddy Chules is not really letting you, you could have got out. So if you look at the bullet spray on the right side, the guys on the bridge that are shooting, tapping through this hallway, have to tap on such an angle that the bullets are always going to go to that side, and that you're going to be better off running on the left side of the wall to try to escape when this happens. Never fun to have to go through that, but just a point to note. When it comes to going from MG2 to LEM, there are much more broad strokes solutions that I'll give to help you get there. And I don't want to focus on situational errors. That's something that I'll talk about for, LEM to global. We'll talk about situational mistakes, very, very, very tiny advantages that turn into rounds lost, that turn into games lost. Okay. So coming into this fight, the re-aggression into halls, I like it. MP9 is one of the best places for you to be in, as opposed to losing out there and just jumping in a pit. If you have low HP like Dismay does, you can take a fight like this and not take any damage because you can very easily from a position like in halls, shoot someone in the side of the head, catch a timing, that kind of thing. So he's going to approach this fight at the other set of stairs and have an opportunity to get a free kill. Miss it because he tunnel visions on this window room, which is okay, that's going to happen. But when he notices the fight, we're going to see some similarities to what we saw in the CT spawn in that previous round. So here, there's a moment. Okay, so here, he gets the spray off. First of all, aiming before you spray, extremely critical. It sounds stupid, like of course I aim before I spray, but if you need to take that extra half a millisecond, extra 200 milliseconds, let's be realistic, to make sure your first bullet is on the head, everything else will work out a lot better. Whereas if your spray is offset when you start, you will have a hell of a lot of trouble fixing it. And at the end of this, we're going to go into the server and talk about mechanics. Another thing here is that we're pre-firing, which is great. Love to see pre-firing, but it's this peeking up and down that's not really doing you as many favors as trying to throw in some side-to-side movement. So with your fingers, okay, let's do left hand, it's my keyboard hand. Your middle finger's on W, your ring finger's on A, and your pointer finger is on D, okay? So in CS, you like to strafe side to side because these two fingers are on their own keys. If you strafe forward and backward, your middle finger has to move down to actually strafe. That's pretty awkward. It'd be a lot easier if you had a finger on your W key and on your S key, but you don't. Another reason in CS you want to strafe side to side is because you want your target to be as hard to hit as possible. But those are both good reasons why you want to be strafing side to side. In that staircase situation, it is also pretty awkward no matter what you do to try to win that duel after you drop your first peak. But one thing that could have made it a little bit better is if we threw in a little bit of side-to-side movement and continually tried to make it a headshot peak. And I'll talk about how you can make a situation like that, which will be awkward by nature no matter what, a little bit less awkward. And why it looked worse than it even when it worse than it was, excuse me. So I honestly was really impressed in this demo, seeing some things like your lineups for your movement. I saw a lot of grenade usage. I see visualization when you're holding angles. I can tell you watch Pro CS because of some of the positions that you play and where you stand. Like, this is a very good angle to hold from halls. I personally would be aiming a little bit lower in this situation. So let's say someone walks out from halls in this spot. They could easily walk out crouching, clearing the side angles, and then they would be way below your crosshair, aiming this high. What you are aiming for is somebody peeking lane as they come out of halls without clearing anything else. A much more unlikely situation. So I would try to think there is a world where you're aiming could hit someone's head, but I think that would happen 10% of the time, if that. And in general, I would try to hold a little bit lower and think about what their entry pathing would be if they were a smart player, when you think about how you're going to hold your angles. So a little bit lower, a little bit tighter to the wall unless you think a run out is going to happen. And think about the way that they'll peak and the pathing that they'll take when you're holding your positions. But you can see the method. So I can't remember because I recorded this video twice if I talked about this, but I do think that although your goal to get to LEM is ambitious, dismay, I genuinely believe that you can make it there. I see a lot of stuff here that shows me, number one, you're not afraid to take fights. You make very decent rotations for someone at your rank. Your mechanics are there except when you start fighting, if that makes sense. And you do some great stuff. Like we're seeing a nade line up to the back of alt mid, which is awesome. Just makes me happy to see that. You say you watch your demos, and up until the point that you started fighting, I was confident that your shooting and aiming was going to be a lot better. So here's another situation where we're visualizing where the peak is going to be. And I would say, as a rule of thumb, if there's no presence whatsoever, no noise here at mid, nothing like that, assume that the players might be trying to walk out and no one's going to suddenly wide swing you. That's when you hold a bit tighter. And when you think that the wide swing is coming in, or there's a handshake agreement that you guys are about to fight in a second, then you hold a little bit wider. But you should always be able to just destroy somebody who is walk peeking, holding the angle relatively tight. And I'm going to go into a server and show what that'll look like. So here, it's good. I like that you're throwing this nade multiple times. It's something that you'll never know if it actually does damage or not, but there it does. And it can condition people out of halls. I like the spams here. You can see from that spray alone that you need to work on your spray, dismay. And what's amazing about that is it'll take you 15 minutes a day to work on your spray, and it'll net you 1,000% more kills. I don't even think that that is an exaggeration based on what we've seen. If there was more of a focus, right now, I feel like Dismay, you're focusing on stuff that'll get you from LEM to global and not stuff that'll get you from MG2 to LEM. I hope that makes a lot of sense. Your nade lineups, your nade lineups, crosshair placement and stuff. I mean, crosshair placement, maybe that works at all levels and is important for all levels. But some of the tertiary stuff that I can see that you've watched Pro CS and are trying to include into your game are great, but none of them matter if you don't have the simple stuff down, like better peaks, better sprays. One thing that's important that I'll show you is what it's like to try to fix a spray that starts too early, or a spray that starts while you're moving. Anything like that is impossible for even me, who has 8,000 hours, to really fix easily. And so there should be a lot more consideration and emphasis on your first bullet. How quickly you shoot that first bullet, where you're aiming when that first bullet goes off, whether or not you're standing still. I think a lot of your problems just may come down to that very first bullet and being a lot more careful with it. And then the second most important thing, I think, for you to improve your rank, quite literally, is just improving your visualization, which I can see that you're already thinking about. But so far, I like the places that you're standing. I like the rotations that you're making, generally speaking. And I like that I can see that you're thinking about how to improve, regardless of what you've told me. So here's a position where the fight will take place. Your teammate dies in halls. And right here, you've got a teammate behind you. So I'll tell you right now, in a 2v whatever, in a pro match, number 4 player would probably move in behind the middle box behind you. You would stand behind default, try to either catch this player coming out of halls on the farthest part of the balcony, let your teammate behind you fight first if someone comes lane, and then peek after your teammate fights on lane. So here you take a little bit of a fight. When a flash goes off, you go a bit too wide for that to be comfortable because there's the threat of halls. So I would have tried to tighten that up a lot. And then here, your teammate dies behind you, and you actually peek out for that trade. Fantastic. And then right here, this is good. He comes out of halls. He or she, they come out of halls, and you let them drop, and then you try to not overcommit to this position, considering you were low on ammo, and you go for the reload. I'm not totally against the reload. I think it was maybe a bit ambitious, but of course with 4 bullets, maybe they're scared, something like that, you could get it off. But I don't think that was the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem was the way that you peeked, your teammate dying, which isn't your fault. And I would have just changed a couple of things slightly, and I'll show you that specific example in the server after this demo is over. So again, the nade comes out, and we'll see how you adjust to this coming into round 10. What's funny is you talked about how your favorite position was CT side Inferno, and that you felt like you had problems on T side. And what I saw was that I can see why you like the CT, why you like playing CT Inferno, because you know a lot about it, which is great. But one thing I didn't see was any problems about your T side that had to do with it being the T side. There's another situation where you shoot a bit too early, Dismay. Keep noting that. But you can see the reactions are there. The actual aim can be there. And here, looks like you want to try to fall out. You've got a teammate to flank you. This is all good. But the way that I'm feeling based on some of the fights that I'm watching, this was a 30-kill game by you if you had a better spray and slightly better visualization. But look at this. You've even got these more nuanced smokes, which are fantastic. And there, the only reason you drop your shot wasn't even your first bullet. Your first bullet was good, but then your spray from there on out wasn't controlled. That was a free kill, and who knows how much more you get off the round if you get that kill. I think what's really important to realize is when you contextualize your games and your losses, that you're only looking at 7 or 8 rifle rounds in every half, right? Especially if you're losing. You get the pistol round. There's anti-ecos all over the place. There's actually not that many times where you're rifle versus rifle, and you have the opportunity to get 3 or 4 kills and say to yourself that you played well. So that's where it becomes about more of the smaller things. And in your situation, it's still a broad strokes problem with the spray. But what's also weird is that I can see you can aim just by the way that you clear stuff out and your general movement and stuff. Of course, it could be better, but that could be true for everybody. I think there just needs to be more of an emphasis on yourself if you're spending time watching demos to reallocate that time to getting into a server offline and practicing your spray on a plain wall, like as simple as that. I think the aim practice video that I made will be perfect for you, and I'll talk about why exactly after the demo is over. But a lot of the problems I'm seeing come down to your patience. Love this angle from pit. I like how you're playing this position right now. And again, this is one of those positions where I'm like, okay, you can tell that, Dismay has definitely watched some Pro CS with the certain positions that he plays. Nothing bad about him not moving in this position. As the only person, as the A anchor, he's got to be last to rotate. They constantly hold the threat of coming back around arch and fighting him in the pit, so he can't really move too quickly. And there's nothing bad about this right now. I don't mind you running. It's its own gamble because someone could have held back, but I don't mind you running at all to rotate in, because sometimes if you walk, you're just going to be too late, and everyone will get into their favorite positions and be way too comfortable. So see the bomb. See how you approach the situation. There was kind of a half-ass clear. If they were in the construction, you wouldn't have got them there. And right there, you can see your mouse is quite simply just not comfortable enough when you're moving in for the shot. The idea to nade quad was great, but make sure you're at all times not just going through the motions. Like, I know this is the right play, I know this is the right play, I know this is the right play. If you do that, there will be many situations where you clear an angle, but you won't actually be ready for the person that's there, right? The best players, in my opinion, one thing they do better than everybody else is they're able to take the best guesses and believe it, right? They understand where they think someone's going to be for sure, and then they believe it. And every other angle, they actually don't even clear. They don't even bother. I don't think you should always do that. And I think most players will not get away with that. But I think the best players, you'll see, they're not going to clear every single angle. They are going to get shot in the side of the head sometimes. But it ultimately makes them more efficient if they're better at guessing and making a good read based on the situation. So if you're going to walk past construction like that, and then half clear construction, and then pull out your nade, if there was someone tucked a couple centimeters deeper, they would have killed you, Dismay, and there was no point in you clearing that at all. So I want you to think about that. See if he scores some more damage. A sliver. 1 damage on Skull Hunter. Who knows? But it's possible that it'll still have an impact. Do I feel good about this? I feel like we've already covered a lot of good stuff here on CT side. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff on T side, again, is going to be quite similar. So here the angle's quite tighter. This is a lot better. So I can give you a play to make on halls in this situation because I know you're not too scared to use utility, which is great. But you can see how well that works out for the lane peak. Whereas before, when you're aiming so high, that shot would have been harder to dismay. So consider that. And yeah, you do your job here, and the half goes well. And you honestly did not make many mistakes in this half. Situationally, and again, I like the proactivity. I love the nade usage. Say that when that happens. Love how you look disappointingly at your own grenade that bounced back at you. I love the fact that you have lineups and everything. I genuinely see a lot of potential. Tons. I believe your mechanics can be a ton better too, based on what I'm seeing. Anchoring A is a tricky position because of how specific some fights can get, like when to use your smoke and stuff like that. And I'll give you a couple of tools to help you improve in this spot, but overall, I like what you're doing. Okay, let's see how this angle works out for you this time around. You're going to see some presence and the adjustment. And there he dies. You don't even shoot too quickly, and there's not really much you need to do. Again, your teammate's still alive here on Moto. Okay, bombs dropped right in front of you, and you're not getting shot in the side. You're not getting spotted, so you're just fine. And you're going to make sure no one walks up on you. Looking good, looking great. And so you're making this angle nice and tight, like tighter and tighter more time. You get it like that. Just spotting for information, make sure you're not going to get off if someone does come and clear it. And there we go. There's a lot of patience there. I like that. And you see that fight went so much better, actually, than what we saw in the first half. So honestly, I know you talked about this T side being, you know, the thing where you couldn't figure it out. I really don't think this is a T-sided problem, my friend. But we're going to watch some of these rounds, but I really want to get into the game and show you how you can really just take your game up a huge notch by solving your problems with just mechanics and how you're holding angles and visualizing. So this is a good clear by you. And we see you combine with your teammates. And I actually think your spacing is always quite good when you're coming out with your teammates. Never really leaving them behind. You're thinking about other positions here, which is good. Okay, your teammate wins that fight. You're going to go ahead and think about this long haul peek. And like I said in the video, if you shoot a bullet and it doesn't go where you aim, there's no point in that bullet leaving your gun. This one's just unfortunate timing, I think, as they come up over you. Here you should be crouching, okay, because your bullet is going to be more accurate so you can tap faster. And you want to turn this kill into a full unexecute, like that. How your team thinks. Everyone's working together, which is great. I'm going to encourage you to crouch more, actually. I think it's great that you don't crouch a lot, but I personally think crouching gets a bad rap. I think definitely crouching isn't as bad as people think it is. Okay, so here, retake position. And I love this. You have the nades ready. You're going to throw the Moto smoke. This flash is not good because it just lands on the roof. It doesn't actually blind anybody on the site. I would throw that left click. And then here is where the freak out comes, okay? If you clear the site and you don't know that someone's there in pit, if someone is or isn't, go plant safe. Go plant safe every time, okay? You have Moto smoked. Somebody just got a kill on the site. You've got a teammate behind you to worry about everything else. Just go plant safe in sight. Here's a round you still win, which is good. Here you are strafing and shooting, and you are all out of sync. Okay, we're going to fix that. Again, just count them up. How many times you would have gotten a kill? Okay, and here should be a free round. 2-on-1 spot. The road's going away. And you're going to get the hell out of there. One of the reasons I'm going to prescribe that you do a bit more crouching is actually so that you focus on being more deliberate about the way you shoot. And it helps you solve your problem of shooting while you're moving. Because you can shoot and move, like crab walk and shoot, and be in a better spot. But sometimes crouching into angles can be really good, really strong. Like, not right there. You wouldn't want to be crouching forward. That guy just comes out with a timing peak. But there are a lot of positions. Oh my God. After yesterday, I could feel my voice going a little bit. Okay. to get in the site. There's a trade. Good. Can go for Hall's control. Okay, fine. That's also good. Your teammate, died, I guess, crossing. So you end up losing. Okay, this is all fine. And you actually win. Okay. Potentially not the last round of the game. Okay, hold on. I think this is good. I really don't think that there's a much of an issue with your T side. I'm gonna be straight up, man. I would never even, if there was stuff to talk about, I would love to talk about it. This is not a T-sided issue. If there was something like you were taking too long to try to engage into fights or like trade your teammates and stuff like that, I would talk about it. But you guys seem like you are working together, and you're not the problem on your team in that regard. Maybe you feel a bit uncomfortable, but I think generally speaking, you can make a lot of improvements to your C side just by fixing your mechanics. So I don't have my practice exec. So warm up end, ignore round win conditions, MP freeze time will be 0, MP start money will be 16,000, MP restart round. Okay. And we are in the game. Okay. For some reason my game feels like laggy doo-doo, but that's okay. All right, so I have my crosshair style 3 on, so we can take a look at something that's really important here, okay? Yeah, let's spend a second on this first. So first of all, it would be the command, we want to show weapon spread. It would be weapon debug spread show 1 and SV cheats 1. Okay. And that's the wrong scene. Okay, there we go. Okay, so when you're on crosshair style 3 and use this, weapon underscore debug underscore spread underscore show underscore space 1, sorry, then you can do this. And this will show you what the deal is. So what I'm talking about when you're peeking all the time, and let's take you back right here to the specific situation over on the B site. When you're peeking and you're shooting too soon, and you're losing fights that you had a 1 second advantage on, okay? So you come over here like this, and the guy comes and you start shooting like this, and we see where the spray goes. All right, we see where the spray goes. It's really hard to control. It's extremely hard to control. And look, this is me with 8,000 hours trying to control my spray, and that's what it looks like. Whereas this is what it looks like to control my spray. Okay, it doesn't look that much better. Maybe I'm more nuts than I expected, but let's see, like here, for example, how tight I can get my spray, like all in this area when I'm crouched and I'm ready and I'm here to shoot. Like, you know, very little variance. And this is me not even touching my game for like a month, basically, because I haven't been able to play because of my back injury. This can all be brought to you with just 10 minutes of practice every day on a blank wall, shooting into something like this, like basically like the inside of this B, or trying to spray above a specific line, like right here, for example. I'll go SV infinite ammo 2. And okay, I'll go restart round again because I don't know how to drop the gun. Okay. Where I could take, like, you know, above this bench and say I don't want any of my bullets to go below this bench. Everything just above this bench. And you treat this bench like it's a shoulder and this is the head. Okay, you can do that all over the place. Very simple. I want it to be all above this line. And then just make sure you're not pulling down too much. I mean, basically just showing you how to spray. I'm sure you know how to do it, but you might not be thinking or realizing how important this is, okay? This is more important than any of your flick shots, any of your crazy 180 adjustments, like nut shots, everything. None of that matters compared to just having a good spray for situations where you're supposed to get the kill. That will be the majority of your kills and the most important kills that you get in a game, in any freaking game, at any level. Okay, so having a good spray is everything. Do not sleep on it. And now let's see if I just run out and then I try to control the spray. This is what it looks like. It's damn near impossible because when you start running and shooting, your spray just goes everywhere, okay? Whereas as we can see with this crosshair and this command, you can see if I start crouching right here, it's so easy to put a spray together. Think about that and show yourself how hard you're making it for yourself to get these kills. And in the situations, like we saw with the MP9 in halls, which we'll go and show you right now, when you're going for the sprays, it's no wonder that you're not able to kill them on your first peek. If the spray was better, this MP9, I don't know the MP9 spray specifically. If your spray was a bit better and you didn't start shooting before you started spraying like that, then you could have been more in a situation like this, right? You could have popped up like this. You could have tried to add in some horizontal movement as opposed to just vertical. You could have killed them on your first try, and if you didn't, you could have had a more solid fallback for how to fight. Okay, so yes, in certain situations, you're gonna want to pop up like this. One issue with only going up and down in this position is if this guy's aiming here, his aim doesn't change if you go up and down. So he's gonna sit in this spot, and he might strafe and wait for you right here, and just try to predict when you're gonna peek up. And for you down here, all you're doing is changing the time at which you're going to peek. So you're going to have like 2 of these before he blows your head off, right? But if you're going like, and instead of doing that, let me show you what my pathing would be coming in. So, I might hold like this. I'll probably crouch, honestly, for a position like this. So it might be one way to introduce crouching. I'll come up on the wall. I'll try to see if I see a head right here, whereas a whole body would be right there. And then all of a sudden, I'll switch to this, and then boom, I'm like right on their head. Boom, right there. If I saw their head, the head gets blown off. I pull down a little bit, I shoot it off, they die. See how easy that looks and like how much can be changed just by visualizing a little bit better and then kind of having your pathing in mind, right? And you can even sometimes pop up on this side if it's like another round and you've already fought them that way. And then you have a much better time. And then if, let's say, you miss your first shot, you might hide, maybe come back over here, try again, come at it with a side-to-side peek, or just commit really hard by strafing side-to-side without coming down. But doing this is going to get you killed eventually. And also, if you're going to be shooting and not really comfortable at stopping and shooting, you're definitely not going to be comfortable stopping and shooting, strafing back and forth, because that's not something anybody practices. So strafe shooting is something I talk about in my training video. Is the meat and potatoes of shooting. If you're going to shoot your bullets need to go where you're aiming. And they're not going to go where you're aiming if you're not making sure you're stopped every time you shoot. Just period, okay? If you do this, you are screwed. You have to be completely in sync. Another situation where if you see someone like this, don't just start shooting like that, okay? If that guy is looking at you waiting, you get caught off guard, that's when your reflexes, your flick shots and stuff, that's when you need to rely on them and think about them. But if you have a second, like you peek like this and this guy's like clearing banana, okay? Take that extra 200 milliseconds to put the bullet on his head, and then just remember you're going to pull down a little bit and get all those bullets as close together as possible and just try to double dink him or whatever it is. But just don't start shooting. That first bullet is everything. I want you to think about that first bullet like it's your golden bullet, and the other 29 bullets that you have all do 50% less damage. I want you to think about it like that, even though that's not true. Okay, now we go on to talking about hauls. So this is how I would almost be holding hauls most of the time. All right, so let's say, visually speaking, you've got T's coming up. This is how you should do visualization. Put yourself in their shoes immediately and think about what you would be clearing, okay? So you might be clearing this coming up here. So boom, right here. This is the angle, right? Where you can hold right here and you know that a T will be clearing this part of pit. They're not going to be looking at you. They could be looking at you, 50% chance maybe, But here's a spot where you could clear them. Hold that, and you're in a good position. Another reason why this helps a lot is because you're holding this position, and now you're also prepared for this peak. Okay? Look, I'm exposed to this guy when I'm trying to clear this part of the site. If they don't predict that I'm here or hard clear this, which is their own risk because they could also get shot from the site, right? They could also get shot from the site. There could also be a guy on this pillar or something like that. Then there's a 50% chance that you shoot them in the side or the back of the head. And here, you're aiming here. You're also aiming for this crouch peak up against this wall. So imagine you're coming out of halls here if you're a T, okay? And you're not even going to think about halls here. You're going to start clearing positions like this. You're out here, okay? You're not here, okay? So when you were holding your angle, aiming out here, you might hit them in the head if they're walking out on this line, okay, when you're holding this high. But you won't hit this guy here. You won't hit this crouch peak here. And here, everyone goes through my crosshair, okay? Nobody passes without going through my crosshair. It might not be a headshot every time, depending on how they come out. But most of the time, based on the visualization, I know it's going to be in line with them, usually going to be a headshot, always going to do damage, okay? One thing that's really, really good to do when you have a smoke, and I know you're liberal about your nade usage, is to drop a smoke here and to play right in front of this wall here, okay? Because it's really good for catching people. When people see the smoke, they aren't thinking that someone is crouched right in this corner all the time, although it's more of a common play. At your rank, it's going to get you 4K rounds straight up. Okay, another great position about this, great thing about this, with the smoke up, you have a great fight here as well. It is totally good to stand here straight up. When people come out of halls, they are so worried about pit that you can just get the free kill, like just the free kill. It looks scary. It's the freest kill ever. And that's why visualization is literally everything, okay? This guy is clearing this, boom, he gets shot, he slams his keyboard, you win the emotional battle, and get the kill. Throwing that smoke down is huge. That's one piece of utility to your litany of great utility you're using on A that you can try to use. And this position, I would open up to this position as well. Love that you are holding pit from this spot. This is great. Sometimes you want to be kind of floating into this angle depending on what kind of control you have as well. Just out here, right? Just checking once in a while for a head, trying to catch that timing. Remember, you have the advantage. You can play with your food a little bit. Don't play the same position over and over again. And yeah, think about it like that. I liked your lane mollies. Those are all good. More deliberate movement, more deliberate peeking. I swear to God, that is your biggest problem. It is so good that you're doing all the other stuff, watching your demos, learning new grenades and things like that. And that's something people are less willing to learn. That's going to get them to that next level. But that's why I'm saying you could grow exponentially if you just learn this one simple technique. Doctors hate him. To make sure you are stopped before you shoot. Okay, this is everything. Go into aimbots. And you just spend, I'm just going to get you to watch the training. I made this video so that I don't have to talk about it every single time. But you're going to go into aimbots. Go back to a normal crosshair. Unless you like that crosshair. And you're going to do following bots around, getting really comfortable with all those really small movements. And just making sure you are never, ever shooting until you are fully stopped. And at first, take as much time as you need. Get faster as you need to. But don't worry as much about, number one, getting the kill. And number two, shooting only when you're completely ready. Okay? And then using this where... let's see, put some walls up. This is where you can practice your spray for 10 minutes every day. All right, just right here. Just get your bullets in a nice tight pattern. Over the wall, never underneath it. And then go back. And the spread will get a little bit crazier. If you're up close, of course, it'll be easy. I really haven't touched this game in a month. And then just making sure your bullets are never going below this line and your spray pattern is as tight as possible up here. And eventually, you will literally be dropping 30. You would have dropped 30 kills in that one game alone. I promise you. I absolutely promise you. Okay, go for this. Okay, I think I covered everything. That was a huge thing. We talked about tilting. We talked about your CT side. Your T side, honestly, man, it's the same problems as you have. It's a universal thing. And it's great that it's so perceptible what you can fix. And to reach your goal, you're going to have to put in the hours, play a lot, but take 10, 15 minutes at the beginning of your day to make sure your spray's on point and that you never shoot before you stop moving, never shoot before you stop moving, never shoot before you stop moving, and you will rank up. I like your team. I like the whole thing, DMT team you've got going on. I think you guys have potential, and you guys got, the world is your oyster if you fix a couple of those very small things, dismay. I hope that was helpful. I had a lot of fun doing that. If people have demos of any rank, any gameplay style, any focus that you want me to focus on, let me know. It's cool that we did a team demo. It's even better that we mix it up and did a lower level demo here, and it's more relatable. It's fun content for me to do. It's something different, and yeah, appreciate it. And again, obviously, anybody who watches to this point is going to leave a respectful comment. I know it. So yes, thank you for submitting that. Appreciate you. And thank you to the patrons and everything. Take care, everybody. See you again tomorrow for another Coach Loud demo review.